Hey everybody, John Skiba here, and in this video we're going to be talking about stimulus checks. The third round was just recently approved. They're going to be hitting your bank accounts in the very near future, and I'm going to talk about specifically what you can do if you find yourself in a situation where your stimulus check has been garnished. But if this is your first time here to my YouTube channel, go ahead and click subscribe, check on that little bell. That way you'll be notified each and every week when a new video comes out that'll help you deal with serious debt problems. All right, let's talk about the third stimulus check. It was recently approved just last week. They've said it's going to be hitting your bank accounts pretty soon. And a big concern that a lot of people have been expressing to me is what happens if it gets garnished, if a creditor has a judgment, or if your account is overdrawn. A lot of these are coming through with a direct deposit. If your account's overdrawn, that $1,400 or whatever amount it's going to be, you can see a big chunk of that being taken by your bank due to the current status of your bank account. Well, today, and I'm recording this on March 17th, 2021, today the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, a federal agency that's tasked with overseeing collections and creditor type issues, they issued a statement, a press release, stating that they have been working with different financial institutions to address the problem of people who have an overdrawn bank account and the stimulus fund's going to hit there. They have said that many of the financial institutions that they're working with have pledged to promptly restore the funds to the people who should receive them. They're stating that, and some background to this, why they're doing this is because this is, as I said, the third round of stimulus checks. The first two rounds of stimulus checks had protections in them against garnishment from private creditors. So if you had a medical bill or a judgment or repossession or something like that where they could do collections, those first two rounds had protections against the stimulus check actually being taken from you to cover those bills. This third round of stimulus checks does not have those protections as it relates to private creditors. That even applies to your own bank. So if you have an account that's overdrawn and that's where the stimulus check's going to be deposited, you could find yourself in a situation where that $1,400 stimulus check is considerably reduced just because it's covering bank fees and everything else that's been accumulating on the account. Well, in an effort to try to lessen some of the impact and harsh impact that that's going to have on a lot of families, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has been reaching out to these various banks and financial institutions and trying to come up with a solution for it. It should be noted, as I read this, I thought, the skeptic in me thought, I hope that this is the case. I hope that these banks are willing to work with people to make it so that it's not a situation where the stimulus funds that are desperately needed, they're not able to access those. But the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, they reached out and said that the banks that they're working with said that they will take that into consideration as far as what the purpose of the funds are. It's there to help people who are going through a very difficult time already. Now, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has said that if you find yourself in a situation where your stimulus check is deposited and it's going, a big chunk of it's going to cover the fees due to an overdrawn account, that you should call them. That's the solution. Again, maybe I've done this too long dealing with debt collectors and banks. They said that the first step you need to do is call your bank and explain the situation, that, hey, the account was overdrawn, the stimulus check was deposited, and I need those funds just to cover, basic living expenses. I'm trying to be optimistic on this, that the banks will work with you, that particularly, I have seen, in bankruptcy and other areas where those funds are treated differently than any other types of funds or situations that I've seen in times past. So maybe those banks and financial institutions will work with you if you find yourself in a situation where your account's overdrawn and you need those funds just to get by. So I would agree with that advice, that the best thing you can do is to reach out to your bank and maybe even be proactive about it. If you know that the check's going to be coming in or deposited in the near future, you can reach out and try to get it taken care of that way. One little side note that I've seen in the last stimulus round, they actually sent debit cards, preloaded debit cards to people instead of doing a direct deposit. If you're getting that'll help you to avoid it altogether, because you can use that debit card just like you would any other card, and it has the stimulus funds put on there directly. So hopefully that helps out. I will put a link in the comment section down below to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's Consumer Advisory Report that they issued today, that gives some of the steps that they recommend you take if you find yourself in the situation of needing that stimulus funds check, but having an overdrawn on account or other creditors who are trying to attach it. And hopefully it'll help you as you try to kind of navigate this whole process with these stimulus checks. Again, if you haven't taken the time to subscribe to my channel, please go ahead and do so. Appreciate you watching today.